Hi, and welcome to another edition of The Well of Inspiration. It is a production by the Cradle of Life, and Wellington is with us. He is here to enlighten you, to give you positive vibes, and help you take your lives to the next level of success, be it personally, be it business-wise. We are here to touch on the African continent and inspire our people right here on the continent. Wellington, hi, and welcome.
Thank you very much. How are you doing today? I'm happy to be back.
I'm happy to have you here, and I'm also happy to be back for another edition of The Well of Inspiration. I'm doing great. I'm excited for this episode. So let's tell the viewers what we have in store for them today.
You know what? I want us to talk about building a dam. Now, this is a metaphor which basically will allow us to delve into the aspect that affects us every single day, which is this whole idea of too much information. We are inundated by information coming from all corners. If anything, the pandemic has transported us into the virtual world even more than we were before. Because now, apart from the information we read and consume, we also now interact more actively and more dominantly through the internet. So talk about Zoom meetings, talk about Microsoft Teams, Skype, WhatsApp. Everything is just navigating towards being glued to the little screens either on our laptops or on our phones. But what comes with that is simply the amount of information we then get to consume. The question that I have is, how do we control the amount of information that we can get, and what do we do with all this information? Do we need to be getting so much? And if we do, what can we do about it? And that is where I'm saying, let's think about building a dam.
I love this. I love the fact that we can build a dam.
Yes, indeed. So I'm saying let's build a dam. I mean, even more than what we're seeing in the virtual world, there's also so much being thrown at us in terms of objects, things to buy that are thrown at us. Manufacturers, innovators, people who solve the problems that don't exist are coming to us and making us recognize that we've got a problem that we didn't know we had. And then suddenly we are spending money on something we didn't know we needed, which has suddenly become a necessity. They are changing the trajectory of what we focus on, what we spend our resources on. And this is again inundating how much we process through our minds. And again, even with that in mind, we need to consider building a dam. When we talk about dams, we are talking about a reservoir of water that collects water from different sources. But the interesting thing about a dam is that it has got a gate and a controller. In other words, it controls what comes in and it controls what goes out of the dam. Meaning to say, what remains is also being controlled. The question I have for us is, with all this that is coming our way, water coming at us from different sources, how are we controlling what is coming in and how are we controlling what is coming out? I've seen people in the quest for popularity and social media stardom, they go into controversial topics. They become profane in their conversations only for people to talk about them, seeking attention, trying to get everybody to recognize us and give us the importance that we need. You know what? Let's learn to build a dam. What's coming out of you is just as important as what you allow to come into you. By way of information, by way of people, by way of what you consume through your eyes, by way of what you then let out through your speech, through your actions. We should allow ourselves that privilege to control how we come out and to control what we take in and what we bring out. It is essentially that which I want us to talk about today, simply saying, guys, whatever you're doing, wherever you are, recognize that you need to be in control, to allow yourself to bring in only that which you need to have. And then when you let information out of you, let that information be productive, be helpful and useful for our communities.
I absolutely love this, Wellington. Building a dam. And I think this is so important, especially in today's day and age where we, like you say, we are flooded with so much information, so many different things, especially looking at the youth. I think for those of us who have, hit the threshold of being a little bit older in their 30s and above, we've had a sort of sense of different kind of lifestyle before all the information, before all the technology. So in the back of our minds, I think a lot of us have those, flags that come up and say, all right, so this is where you should stop, this is where you should continue, because we've had a different sort of feel when it comes to information. We were not, for myself, speaking from the time when I was growing up, we didn't have Facebook and, Instagram and all the things and access to everything from across the world in the palm of our hands. So it was basically going outside, you'd mix with the children, but you'd also listen to what the elders had to say. If you didn't, we're from Africa, there was a cane that goes with that, but you were able to take in information more readily and more acceptably, if I can put it that way, for us to be able to say, okay, these are the right ways to go. In today's generation, our children's generation, the slightly younger generation from our own generation, they've been flooded with a lot of information, a lot of different ways that people do things, the way they dress, the way they behave, the way they, talk, the way they consume things. So it's played a big role in our society, especially for the generations that are upcoming. So this is such a great topic to talk about and to cover when it concerns you building a dam, which you allow what comes in and what goes out. And you have to be so careful and critical about what you allow into your life as much as what you allow out of your life.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that takes us to wisdom, because you see, with all this information, it takes a clever mind to be able to assimilate the information and translate it into wisdom. What is wisdom? Wisdom is the application of knowledge into our experiences. So if the knowledge that you are acquiring, the information that you are getting is useless for your own life experience, it might not be worthwhile obtaining that. It might be something you want to think about. Do you really need to be paying attention to this kind of content? If that content is not really helping you or building your life positively, maybe you're just doing it for entertainment. Not to say that is wrong, but I'm simply saying that consider what you then allow to stay with you. If it comes in and goes out, maybe no harm. But if you allow it to come in and stay with you, that might then become a challenge.
I agree with you on that. All right, this is a subject that we are covering today right here on the Well of Inspiration. It's all about building a dam and finding out what you actually allow in and what you let go, because both of it plays a very critical role. We'll be back. Do not go anywhere. This is the Well of Inspiration. Welcome back to another edition of the Well of Inspiration right here, a Cradle of Life production. Today, Wellington is focusing on building a dam. What does he mean by building a dam? Basically, he's telling you to take your personal life and look at it as a dam. It has a gauge, it has a controller. You actually get to decide what you let into your life and what you let out of your life. So Wellington, I'm just going to hand this right back to you.
You know what? I had an opportunity a few weeks ago to meet with a very successful businessman. And I was just, in having a conversation, I really asked him, I said, look, what is the one thing you can point at that we can say is the thing that sort of helped you in your journey towards success? I know there will be many things, but what was the one thing you can quickly pinpoint? And he said something that surprised me. He said discrimination. It took me back a little bit, and I had to ask further what he means by discrimination. And he was basically saying, as an individual, it is very important for you to be able to isolate information that you need and that is helpful for what you're working on. If you're able to isolate from the noise that we hear around us, take that which you need and then bring it to good use for the positive outcome that you're looking for. He says that is the superpower that he had that allowed him to move to the place of success which he enjoys today. And I just want to repeat this to all of us. We can also discriminate accordingly. In our different situations, we are faced with different information, different circumstances. Whatever you may be dealing with at any given time, you have the power to discriminate against that which does not serve you and take in only that which is useful for you, which helps you towards the positive outcomes that you want to entertain. There is power in discriminating.
I love that, Wellington. And I think when we're talking about, the power in discrimination, I think this is something, in my opinion, that parents should really focus on. That discrimination, isolating information, especially for the younger generation that, today there's so much available online that our children are able to watch. Maybe we're having busy lives and doing our different things, but isolate what your children consume. Isolate what they attach themselves to. Isolate different people that they have interacting in their lives. And I think this is something that we really need to pay attention to as parents for the next generation, is to know how to isolate information so that it does not touch our children in the wrong way.
Absolutely. I think the challenge now that I would like our viewers to stay with is take a look at your life. Take a look at the things that you do every single day, where you spend your time, where you spend your money, where you spend your resources. Are you spending these resources that you have on the things that are positively impacting your life, or are you spending time or resources on the things that are not necessarily impacting you positively? Answer this question honestly, and it will make a difference in your own life. Which is why I think one of the most important, after everything we've discussed, it is then to understand the power to change. Remember, I'm not saying the power of change, but the power to change. Because you see, the power to transform our situations is not coming from external forces. That power rests within us. And it is only when we get to a place where we've now processed everything that we are receiving and allowing to stay with us that we can influence our circumstances towards a positive outcome. Whatever outcome you're working on, make sure that it is a positive outcome for yourself, for your families, for your businesses, for your careers, and for all your interactions throughout your days. It is important to take responsibility and recognize that the power to change doesn't come from anywhere, but it comes from you.
I agree with that. I think that we all need to, find that space in our own selves that we know that these are the things I need to change, but I need that power to be able to change it and work on it and be able to get yourself to the point where you can actually change the different things that you want in your life to change and take them to the next level. Reminding you that it's not just about yourself, it's about the people around you, about the children that you have, that change that will actually mold them to be better people for the society.
Absolutely. So just as we wind up, I just want to say this, that you may have been dealing with different situations. You may have been allowing information coming through to you to stay and create negative outcomes in your life. You may have been struggling to filter what goes in and what goes out. And I hope that through this interaction that we've had, you are able to understand that you are the one who's got the power and that you can make the change that is necessary. And most importantly, learn to build the dam that controls what comes in and what goes out. And what stays within your mind is only that which helps you, which is profitable for you, and certainly will lead you to positive outcomes.
Absolutely, Wellington. Thank you so much for, joining us again on this edition of The Well of Inspiration right here on the Cradle of Life. Reminding our viewers, for those who are watching and for those who feel that, somebody else might actually need this information, don't forget to share this information with those around you. It could impact people. It could change somebody's life and somebody's outcome. And don't forget as well, you can reach out to Wellington, www.wellofinspiration.com. You could also reach out to us here at The Cradle of Life. That is www.thecradleoflife.co. And don't forget to send your comments right here below on this video, and we will get back to you. Wellington, it's been great. It's been productive, and I'm building that damn solid. I've already built it, but I'm just putting the solid foundation right round. And I think this allows me as well as a parent to be able to actually filter things, allow what I need in and what I need out, and to also, do it in a way that it impacts my child and those people around me.
Fantastic. I love the sound of that. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure being here today, and I look forward to the next one.
Absolutely. See you then.